All right, we are live on episode 27 of Axe to Grind. I am here with Brian Niemeier. Brian, thank you for joining.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
All right, so this is your second time on the show, right?
Yes, it is. It's good to know that you and your audience deems me worthy to be back. So I'm glad for a second bite of the apple here.
You know, the audience actually doesn't get a say. This is a strict autocracy, so I choose entirely without regard for their opinion. Which is probably fortunate because they've actually never really given me much of an opinion about it, so I think it's fine. Anyway, hang on a second. I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. Let's see. Weird. Okay. All right. Well, it seems to be doing all right. So congratulations on 10 years since the first publication of Nethereal. Now, that was your debut novel, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And thank you.
So 10 years, yeah, 10 years as an indie author, and you decided to celebrate sort of the milestone by doing a Kickstarter with a signature edition, essentially.
Essentially, yeah, exactly right.
All right, I'm going to adjust your mic volume a little bit. You're kind of quiet. All right, so let's hear Brian talk now. Brian, say something.
Something. But no, seriously, that's what I decided to do to mark this milestone. So we've issued a special 10th anniversary edition of Nethereal. It's a larger 7x10 trim size. We're going full leatherette, hardbound cover with foil stamped title, and an all new dust jacket designed by fan favorite Marcelo Orsi Blanco.
That is awesome. And the Kickstarter is in the description to this video, guys, so you can just check it and you can get a link straight to it. Definitely check it out. You're already funded at this point, right? So now it's just all gravy and we're doing bonus goals and stuff.
We are indeed in the stretch goals. However, I am still going to impose upon you and your listeners to make an appeal to you. While we have crossed the initial 4K funding goal, that basically just funds the new novella, which is the new part of the project, releasing Kairosis, a bridge novel that connects my original Soul Cycle with the current ongoing prequel series, the Archive Cycle. This campaign is the only place you're going to be able to get that after this. It's not going to go on Amazon or my store. So we still do have a bit left to go to fund the rest of the items. Now, we shouldn't, because according to our projections, this should have been a 15 to 18K campaign. We've had data analysts look at it and say, yeah, you did everything right. We brought in YouTube influencers in addition to yourself, but about the same caliber, and ran ads, pounded the pavement, going door to door on social media digitally, as it were. But despite having our best day one, week one, and week two, right? Nethereal was in the lead over all 8 of our previous crowdfunders. All of a sudden, like a switch, something happened. And it turns out now that thing is, we found out that our backers were running into problems pledging with MasterCard. For whatever reason, their MasterCards were getting declined, and MasterCard is 33% of the world credit card market, but it's half of Kickstarter purchases.
Wow.
Yeah, so our projected earnings have been cut
Yeah.
in half by that one bug, as it were.
That is devastating, and I'm sorry to hear it. And do you think it was a bug, or do you think it was the forces of evil?
Well, it can be two things. to avoid running afoul of Kickstarter's TOS, I'm not going to throw blame here in public. What I will do is propose solutions. I've already had multiple backers reach out to me, and we have arranged alternate funding, which Kickstarter does allow. So if you
Yeah, of
guys,
course. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead and try to pledge. Um, if you have something other than a MasterCard, everything else seems to work fine. Visa is especially reliable. If you run into problems, just contact me. You can message me through Kickstarter, or you can email me. I've provided the email in the FAQ, and we'll help you pledge.
All right, very good. Well, I just pledged for the special edition using my Visa, so I have done my part to raise your boat in the harbor there, and I'm really sorry to hear that that happened to you. I at one time in my life I would have said, "Oh, that's such a terrible happenstance." I can't believe that such an event would randomly occur with no reason whatsoever to such a nice person. I am now much less sanguine about such matters and highly suspicious. But we need to say nothing more about that to avoid getting you in more trouble.
I understand, and I deeply appreciate your contribution. Because, guys, this is why I hang out with Alex, and I patronize Alex because he's one of the few guys out there who walks the talk. Okay, I mean, I know that ACKS II fans, you are here because you're tired of establishment TTRPG publishing. You're sick of just the hegemony of the death cult over all popular entertainment in general. He and I are doing something about it, and so we appreciate every dollar, every cent that you can contribute to not just helping us continue to bring you the entertainment you want, but helping to just claw back whatever little sector of the culture we can.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's dive into that a little bit because you have something that a lot of aspiring writers and game designers in our space don't have, which is 10 years of experience in the trenches at this point. Like you put yourself out there when the culture war, like 2015 was like D-Day for the nerd culture war, right? It's Gamergate is hot on everyone's minds. Comicsgate is breaking people's heads. Trump is getting elected. People are going crazy about that. 2015, 2016, like that's when I get canceled. Like it's blood on the streets. And you're like, hey, let me get involved in this space. So now you've got 10 years of experience under your belt. And the first question I want to ask you is, if you could go back in time and tell Brian 10 years ago, what would you tell him to do different from what you're doing, what you actually did?
Oh, I ask myself that question every single day. And the honest answer is nothing. I wouldn't do anything different because, like you, I didn't have a choice. It was not, it was likewise not a coincidence that I find myself speaking with you and your audience here because in 2012, I was canceled out of corporate America. It was my very first job out of school. And in my original field, which is very tight knit, similar to publishing, it was make it or break it time.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
all know the story by now. It's an old sad tale. Ran afoul of HR for upholding
Mm-hmm.
mores that have been the standard in the West since time immemorial. Nothing your grandpa wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
just taken with a shrug and as a matter of course. And just found myself blackballed from the industry I'd spent like 8 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars training for. And thought, okay, well, what can I do now? Like, this is a spilled milk situation. Like, no sense beating myself up or crying over it.
Yeah.
What can I do to move forward? And so just went down the list and said, okay, what do I like? I like role playing games. I like science fiction and fantasy novels. I like theology. I'm concerned about the current state of America. How can, like, where do all those lines intersect? And it was my mom who said, well, you're a great storyteller. Why don't you try writing? And so, of course, I'm like, oh, mom, of course you're going to say
Yeah.
that. You're my mom,
Yeah.
you're contractually obligated, right? But
It's true.
finding myself with an overabundance of time, I thought, okay, well, let's try this for a year and see what happens.
Right. Right. Now, have you shared what the industry was that blackballed you, or is that top secret confidential?
Oh yeah, if you go
It's
digging
okay
back
if it's
through
top
my
secret.
like my blog backlogs, it was in healthcare, but I was technically working in IT in healthcare
Mhm.
for a particularly denominationally aligned health system, if that makes sense.
Got it. Yep. Yep. That makes sense. Well, it is brutal that that happened to you. There were a lot of us casualties of that period, 2012 to 2016. Um, that I think that was because there was no societal immune system to it at that time, right? So if you got canceled and all of a sudden people started saying bad things about you on the internet, people were like, "Oh, well, it must be true." And it was like, I don't know if it was this way for you, Brian. For me, it was really surreal. Like, people I had known for a decade were believing lies they read about me on the internet over the fact that they had sat down and had lunch with me and knew my actual views on things. It was very surreal. So,
Oh,
not
I
a good
sympathize.
time.
Yeah, I identify totally with that. Like, I reached out to former instructors, like former college professors that I thought I'd been on good terms with, and they just totally DK'd me. They're like, yeah, sorry, can't give
Yep.
you a reference. No. So yeah, like you and I, like, yeah, there was no immune system. We both became radioactive overnight, and I, I don't know if you'll
Hmm.
agree, but I think it was the gaslighting back then because the online networks are really supportive, like people sharing their stories had yet to really solidify yet. So I know I was left with thinking, well, gee, did I mess this up? Was this me? Did I turn left when I should have turned right? Did I make an ass of myself? And the doubts were
Yep.
really the worst thing. But
Yes.
yeah, circling back to what you said about just that watershed moment of like the mid-teens, like about 10 years ago. Yeah, you had sad and rabid
Yeah.
puppies. You had all these consumer and political revolts, and I think that was a preference cascade of everyone like us who had felt, the iron, the velvet clad iron fist, right, of the soft
Yes.
authoritarianism smack us upside the head.
Yes. Yes. And I think that preference cascade of hitting the guys like us, who then responded by getting out there and creating kind of this counterculture, this dissident fiction, dissident escapist entertainment culture, I think helped it. I think it has now helped that it has helped make cancellation less powerful, and it has helped make those tactics less useful against the next generation that's coming behind us. I talk every day to people now who say um, that they feel more confident being able to go out in the space. Like, I've got people that I'm able to be business partners with now that I couldn't have been 5 years ago. And so, in a sense, like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I do. Like, I feel, a little bit like I've got that 1,000-yard stare because I went through the shit, but at the same time, like, it was, it mattered, it made a difference, and I think that, that's something to feel proud about.
Oh, totally well put. Yeah, it will all have been worth it if we can look back and see that our kids, our nieces and nephews, our grandkids don't have to go through the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly,
willing to take that bullet.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so from your perspective, given the options you had it on the table, you feel like, you'd have done the same thing. You'd have written Nethereal. You'd have put it out there. So, okay, so let's think about young upcoming Gen Z or Gen Alpha kid. He's like, all right, I want to write my first novel. He comes to you. and he says, "What was the most important thing you did to market it? Like I can write a great book, but how do I get it out there?" What do you tell him?
The most important single thing I did was approaching Larry Correia for a book bomb that really
Mm,
did catapult Nethereal. So ladder marketing like that is super important. It still works today. And
yeah.
it's great that you do mention what would I tell a young up and coming author, like how to start. That is also what I do. Since I've incorporated my publishing company, Kairos Publications, we do offer a full end to end range of novel development services to assist new authors with just that. And you can ask any of the guys who are members of my patrons only Discord, some of whom are in chat here, what I do to foster new talent, because I've been so blessed being able to do this for a living and be able to recover from that shipwreck disaster of my first career that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if
Hmm.
I didn't try to pass down some of what I learned from it, you know?
Yeah, totally, totally. So, so it's interesting about Larry Correa. I was just talking to a group of writers called the Alpha Mercs about a week ago, and they were also really praising Larry Correa, who I guess is, I think he's probably my age or a little bit older. I don't know exactly how old he is. I'm 50. I think he's probably in his 50s, and he seems to have really made a big difference for a lot of writers, kind of trying to make a move in this space. Because a bunch of those Alpha Merc guys, they're like a writers group that has come together to try and take back some of the speculative fiction space. So it's really interesting how much of a difference a few key people can be. Um, yeah, yeah. It's and there's a lesson there, right? Like when you get up to the top floor, don't pull the ladder up behind you. Keep the ladder down and give a helping hand to the next guy up.
Perfectly said. A phrase that I use a lot that I borrowed from author J.A. Conrath is yes, always have one hand reaching up for the next rung of that ladder, but then always have the other reaching down to help the next guy up after you.
Exactly. And I guess the feet are on the ladder, right? So you're kind of like this, and
Right?
then sort of keeping your balance on the ladder. Yeah. Yeah. I would probably fall off the ladder. Um, I don't have a very high dexterity, but anyway. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Nethereal for people that haven't bought the book before, don't know the soul cycle. Like, what are they in for? What motivated you to write it? Who were your inspirations? Let's. When is the Netflix series happening? And what obese, unattractive person will they be casting as the main character?
Okay. Well, as always, the best blurb for the book comes from the customer reviews, and one reader summed it up perfectly. Space pirates OD on the spice from Dune and wake up on Cthulhu's couch.
Okay. Okay.
So that sets the mood and tone.
That is definitely an intriguing opening. All right.
Yeah. So Nethereal is the story of Jaren Peregrine. He's a space pirate who has been forced into life of piracy by the monopolistic guild that has stolen his people's secrets and used them as a foundation of their ill-gotten wealth, and are now covering up the deed by trying to exterminate the last of his kind. So he's like, well, not gonna go into that good night quietly. I'm gonna give him a black eye on my way out. The way that he's presented with to do that is to head up a mission to fly an experimental ship which is capable of interdimensional travel to find new trade routes. And it kind of works, but instead of being a shortcut to like an undiscovered world, it ends up being a portal to hell. And so
Hmm.
that scene signing incident, he and his crew must then find a way to survive, to overcome the diabolical riddles and challenges and conflicts, to get home with not just their skins but their souls intact. And spoiler alert, not everybody makes it.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So, who would you say, like, who were your inspirations? If I like so and so writer, I will like this.
Yes, well, if you enjoy the deep political philosophizing of Frank Herbert and the world building of Tolkien and the metaphysical conceptualization of Dante, then Nethereal is tailor-made for you.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like Frank Herbert crossed with Dante and H.P. Lovecraft.
Right. And there's more than a little, like, late 80s, early 90s anime squick thrown in there for flavor.
Yes. What is? Oh, I'm thinking Event Horizon. Right?
Oh,
Have you seen
yes.
that movie?
Oh, yeah, that was a big
One
influence for
of
sure.
what that is one of the scariest movies I have ever seen. That movie gave me nightmares for days. So that's the vibe I'm getting. Yeah, awesome,
I see you're a man
awesome.
of culture as well. And I know you and your listeners are going to appreciate this. The way that I initially outlined Nethereal was I took my initial notes and I ran my second ed AD&D Spelljammer group through it to see how they would approach the traps and the
Oh,
challenges.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Brilliant, brilliant. Yes. I was actually going to say it sounds like a really great premise for a tabletop role-playing game or role-playing game source book or something like, space fantasy in hell. It's pretty catchy.
Yeah, things are sewn up like that. I do have like a really, really, really alpha early version of a Soul Cycle role playing game that I've been tinkering with for a while. It's not quite ready yet, but you'll be the first to know when it is.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. So, I think about this all the time. So I'm actually asking this with sincerity, even though I'm smirking as I ask, because I genuinely think about this all the time. What would you do if Netflix or someone like it came to you and offered you a lot of money to turn this into a TV show? But because it's Hollywood and all the Hollywood deals are like this, you don't get creative control any more than ultimately Tolkien got creative control or George R. R. Martin got creative control or anybody ever gets creative control over their TV shows. Do you take the check or no?
Well, as you probably also know, the common wisdom in the publishing industry for decades now has been you take the check and take the payday and then just let the studio do what it's going to do. But because you specified Netflix, um, no, that's a hard no. At least,
Okay.
yeah. Like I would have
All
to
right. All right.
vet.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Amazon. I mean, they did Rings of Power. How bad can they be?
Right. Um, that's touchier because I still do business with Amazon for now. I am,
Yeah.
well, we are pivoting away from them. So, for example,
Yeah.
none of my Soul Cycle books are on Amazon right now, and it's
Really?
doubtful whether we'll bring them back.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Really? Interesting. Now,
really?
why is that? Just you didn't want to be on the platform, or is it like a moral issue or revenue share?
Well, I rarely do anything for just one reason. So let's say that it was a series of straws that finally, yeah, we're about to the one that's going to break the camel's back here, but it was mainly having like my data guy go through the numbers with me and show me that with their print on demand process, they're really just screwing authors over, man. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. 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 I could see that. So I have a friend who's very wealthy, and I asked him this question about what do you do if Netflix comes a knocking, and his answer was, he says, Alex, you take the money and you don't even lose sleep about it. And the reason for that is that the way the industry is nowadays, it won't even be 5 to 10 years when there's going to be the opportunity for the reboot, and then the fact that Netflix has fucked it up will just put you in a better position to negotiate for the reboot that the fans really want. This time we're going to be true to the IP. And at that point, you already have cred because you've had a show made into, you've had a book made into a show. So that was his advice to me. So, yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, just for the record, Netflix has never called me. But if they ever do, I'm ready. So.
Good, because preparation plus opportunity equals the win, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I picked Netflix, of course, because they're by far the most obnoxious and the most likely to just utterly destroy the property. Like Adventurer Conqueror King System, and they like make it about a pacifist monk who turns down the throne and retires to a monastery.
Yeah, they can't resist the refusing the call checkmark. Yeah.
No, they really can't. Yeah. So, all right. So, are you planning to do follow-ons of the new editions for the later books in the cycle, or is this like kind of a special edition? So in other words, is there going to be a 10th anniversary edition of book number 2, book number 3, etc.?
Yes. Right now, what my team have advised me is, look, because of the credit card issue, we really can't look at the overall performance of the campaign, like at least in terms of the total take, and really conclude anything from it. But we do know, from our internal numbers, that our approach is sound. Like our pricing and reward structures work. Because let's put it this way:
Yeah.
even though we're only going to gross about half as much as we'd hoped, we're still, as long as we get to like 8, we're at least going to break even. Whereas going back and looking over the numbers, we've really only ever broken even or even technically lost money on a lot of our previous crowdfunders because I didn't understand pricing theory yet and didn't know how to bundle and price things right. So this was a grand experiment. Experience is the best teacher, though she keeps a dear school. So yes, we're going to try it at least one more time with Soul Dancer next year, and that's a big one. That's the Dragon Award winner. So plan to go all out for that one.
Awesome. Yeah, it is very easy to lose money on crowdfunding if you're not careful. I was so proud of myself when I did ACKS and I did 12K and we broke even. And then we did Player's Companion and, we made some money. And then we did Dwimmermount and raised $50,000. And I was just dancing with joy, like, so much money raised for an RPG product. This is incredible. And managed to lose $20,000 on Dwimmermount. And it was more than all the money we had made on all the prior Kickstarters just was lost. And it set back Autark years. So, for what I will definitely say, like for every time you see someone who has a hugely successful Kickstarter, there is like a graveyard of failed Kickstarters, either adjacent to or behind that person. It is definitely a more difficult space than people think, and getting harder because of the competition and because so many failures have made the consumers more reluctant to invest unless the product is already written, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, definitely challenging. But I'm glad you guys are going to make another go. For those of you joining late, Brian was explaining to us earlier that his Kickstarter has been able to raise only about 50% of the money they expected because MasterCard has been refusing to allow purchases of his book. And they don't know why. Could be a bug, could be a glitch, could be evil villainy, who knows. Point being, MasterCard hasn't worked, had to use Visa and alternative payments. If you're checking out his Kickstarter and you're having trouble buying it using a MasterCard, that's why. Definitely hit him on customer service for support or try it with a Visa. But hopefully, we'll get that profile up on this. Brian's been at this for a long time, and we don't want MasterCard to cause problems here.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Actually, is it possible for me to share my screen in the back end here? Because I can show exactly.
You should be able. Yeah, you
Cool.
should be able to share your screen. Let me turn off my screen sharing, and
well,
you go ahead and share your screen, and then I'll show it.
Okay. Well, with your permission, then. I can show you guys exactly what's been going on here. Let me scroll down away from any sensitive data so I don't dox anyone. I just want to show you the graph. Yeah, so...
All right.
Yeah,
Should I
so
add
look
it
at...
to the stage?
Go ahead. Yeah, we're good.
All right. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're taking off like a rocket in the first 2 weeks, and then it just right here got shut off like a switch.
Yep.
We've never seen that
Yep.
before in any previous campaign.
Yeah. That's frustrating. But $104 average pledge is a great average pledge level. So congratulations on that, at least.
Yeah,
That
thanks. That
is
comes from
showing serious.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said that's showing serious customer loyalty there. That's really great.
Yeah, we love our customers. I live for my readers, and yeah, this is us finally nailing the pricing. We finally figured it out.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so going forward, we should be
Congratulations on
fine.
that.
And I appreciate your and everyone's support.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the beauties of Kickstarter is, it enables you to bring a product out and it lets people support you at the level they can afford, right? Like it's a truly patronage model, which enables smaller creators or independent creators or to, I think, achieve much better than they could, through any conventional means. Because if you're trying to compete on Amazon, that's just a constant floor on pricing, and there's no way for someone to say, I love you so much, I want the signed hardcover double edition with leather. Like, they just can't do it, right? But on a Kickstarter they can. So and of course, if you're what's his name, Brandon Sanderson, of course you can like raise $1 billion on Kickstarter, so that's pretty impressive. What was his Kickstarter? Was it 3 million, 11 million? It was something ridiculous.
44. His first one was 6.
44 million.
Yeah.
That's back when $44 million was a lot of money too,
Yeah. Before the dark times.
Yeah, it's like but I mean, $44 million is a huge amount of money for an author. So it's quite the payday.
Have you read through the trial transcripts of the Simon Schuster Penguin Random House merger trial?
I've read through some of them, and it's absolutely the most depressing reading. Yeah.
Well, did you see that one of the presidents of one of the 2 biggest New York publishers basically admitted that Brandon Sanderson is now the boogeyman that every Manhattan publisher is afraid is hiding in his closet at night?
Really? I'm not surprised. Yeah. I've actually been thinking about that. Devin Erickson wrote an essay about how the trad publishing is dead, because the next generation of authors sees no reason to invest in trad publishing when the trad publishers won't market them. And I wrote a response to him and I deleted it because I just didn't feel like getting into it. But part of the problem is that the trad publishers are never going to market next generation anymore, because because they're going to look at Brandon Sanderson and say, the moment you become a big star, you're just going to Brandon Sanderson and leave. And so it's actually a two-way street. It's a bi-directional failure. It's dead. So yeah. So yeah, he says it's all dead. He says it's basically it's independent creator authors are all that matter now. So you have your brand and you publish under your brand, and you market your brand. Yeah. So the problem it creates is that if you're an introvert who does not want to expose yourself to social media, which can be a very unpleasant place, you're now dead in the water, right? It is very, very difficult to get ahead. In a way, like it didn't used to be the case 50 years ago. You could be like an iconoclastic, introverted recluse of an author and still be incredibly successful. And that's essentially impossible now, in a kind of depressing way, I think. for those of us who are iconoclastic recluses.
Okay, that was the hardest curb for me to surmount as well.
Was it? Yeah.
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 But fear and escaping poverty are powerful motivators, so I'll just say that.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah, I myself don't actually really like being out on social media. I wish there were different ways. Like I'm happiest talking to like a small community that I know really well. Like I love just chatting on my Autark Discord with folks I know really well. Like that makes me really happy. My wife said I would have been a really good captain of a ship, right? Just like put me at
Yeah.
sea for like 6 months with the same people. Like I'm like the happiest guy around. But going out in front of vast crowds of strangers and trying to talk about things. Whoa. So, but as you
Yeah,
said,
I have to agree. And yes, I can confirm your Autark Discord is super cozy.
yeah, it's cozy, right? Yeah. So let's see, Bradford. So Bradford, good to have you join us as well here. So Bradford is another writer in this space that you guys should check out his work. It's on Amazon. It's I think I would describe it as, would it be fair, Bradford? Would you say Catholic space mecca? Is that a good way to explain it? But definitely check it out. I've got his book, and he's been in the community for a long time too. You should come on the show, Bradford.
He should. Also, full disclosure, I edited his book, and I'm a little biased, but yeah, I second that notion.
Yeah, awesome. I didn't know you were the editor. That's awesome. See, it's good. It's good. It's team player. But yeah, sorry, I got distracted talking about Catholic Space Mecca, and I forgot to say, yeah, there's no market for author marketing services because what you need to make it work is more than most afford. Absolutely, right? And the only way I think you could make it work would be if you had like a venture capital type fund. It wouldn't need to be that much money, but let's say you had $100,000 and you said, I'm going to make a pool of 10 authors, invest $10,000 into each of the authors, and do really good, really nice social media marketing, tours, put your all in, but the authors would all have to agree that you get like the exclusive right to be the publisher for like the next 6 books, right? You could not do it where you do the book, they become famous, and then they're like, see ya, I'm Brandon Sanderson now, because then it doesn't work. It has to be like a some sort of 360 multi-book deal. And I think the problem is so many indie creators have been so burned and so neglected. They're like, fuck that. Like, I'm not going to sign up for that. So
Yeah.
hey, what's up, Fox Off? So I just got that. That's really funny. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cellsox has a question for you, Brian.
Yes.
Thoughts on AI book covers? Cheaper, but maybe not as eye-catching. What do you think?
That is a can of worms. And right now, I'm going to be honest, it's a third rail of publishing. So, look, if I were a betting man, I would say that traditional publishers are already using them. I can't think of any examples of any getting caught, but like at this point, I would be shocked if they weren't.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do not use them because I frankly have some awesome cover artists like Marcelo and John Aries, so I wouldn't trade them for the world. At the same time, not to split hairs, but we got to be careful to avoid equivocation. Okay, we got to define our terms. Well, what do we mean by AI book covers? Because okay, you will run into platforms that say, "Oh, well, we have an anti-AI policy," and like Amazon doesn't have anti-AI, but you got to disclose it. And well, the next question is, well, what do you mean by that? Because if anyone out there has used any version of Photoshop made from like 2018 or thereafter, congratulations, you've used AI if you've ever used like the blur or dodge tool. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we can all agree that like if someone just inputs a bunch of prompts and the AI spits out a picture and he slaps a title and byline on it and puts it up there, okay, yeah, that definitely qualifies. It's it just takes a bit of line drawing that, like, I don't think the lines have been drawn yet. Here's what it reminds me of. I think we're both old enough to remember back in school when a teacher would assign us, or a professor would assign us, like a book report or research paper or something, and say, and you can't use Yahoo, you can't use Wikipedia. That's not a real source.
Right. Yep.
I think we're at that stage with AI that it's the new thing, it's the new hotness, and a lot of people are having knee-jerk reactions to it that's being fueled by the media, and society is still coalescing around agreeing on
Yeah.
what it's for. I think it's going to end up as a tool. It's going to give, like right now, what AI is mainly doing across all fields is giving you 30% efficiency boost up front. Okay. Like, it's filling the blank canvas with something to
Yeah.
get you started.
Yep.
And not to dig too deep into the weeds, but again, I talked to a lot of data guys, like, who are in the industry, and they're like, AI as it is now has already reached 80 to 90% of its potential under current hardware limitations. It's going to take consumer grade, or at least commercial grade, quantum processing to break through it. Then after that, that's going to give us like another 20 to 30%, and then it's moribund for 20 years.
You think so? Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I'm just like a security lead, a web security lead at a Fortune 500 company told me this. So I'm not talking out of my head here. This is just what I heard from guys I trust.
Interesting. So, I think I largely shared the very nuanced take you took there. I agree it is very much of a third rail. So I'm a little bit jaded on it because of an experience I had as a younger man. So, in the very early 2000s, I was an MMO consultant, and I was consulting to massively multiplayer online role-playing games, and I wrote a white paper predicting on the future revenue streams and business models of massively multiplayer games. And I said that virtual transactions were going to become the future revenue model for MMOs, that it was going to be microtransactions for digital assets. I said, you can see this already happening because there's Chinese gold farmers that will farm your gold in Ultima Online and EverQuest that people are willing to pay real money for. They're willing to pay real money to have their characters leveled up by other people. Like, the video game companies are going to look at that and they're going to say, this is ridiculous that we're letting this money go to Chinese gold farmers. We're just going to make this part of our business model. You're going to pay us and you'll get cool skins or power-ups or whatever. And after I wrote that white paper, I was approached by a company called IGE. They asked me to work for them. And everyone around me at that point went completely bonkers about what a terrible person I was for thinking this, and that this was the worst thing they'd ever heard of, and it would destroy the game industry, and they can't believe I was even supporting it, and IGE were scum, and virtual assets were terrible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I said, oh gosh, okay, well, I better, I guess I wasn't seeing things clearly, and so I turned down the work with IGE. And of course, the guys at IGE went on to become billionaires, and the entire game industry shifted and into a virtual assets and micropayment model. And I got just about zero for not doing that. And in fact, many of the people that gave me criticism for for thinking about it back in the early 2000s went on to actually work in the industry doing micropayment businesses and made a ton of money. And my prediction is that what's happening right now is exactly the same thing that was happening in those early 2000s. And people that are grumbling about AI now, in 20 years, will be using it without even a second thought. And it will have just become standard and routine and just the way things are. Perhaps I'm overly cynical at this point, but that's my expectation. So,
wow, that's quite an odyssey, man. I'm taken aback by that anecdote, but I have to concur with the conclusion, even if I don't agree with it. If
right.
that makes sense. Like, I don't think either of us necessarily like it. It's just more we're saying it is what it is. You can't unring the bell.
That's right. It is what it is. So I was talking to my wife about this earlier, right? Like I am sitting in a chair that's very comfortable. And at one time, chairs were made by hand by craftsmen who took great pride in their work. And I have this really nice wooden table in front of me with this nice ebony darkwood die. And at one time, hardwood tables were products of handmade effort by craftsmen who took great pride in their work. And now you buy them on IKEA and they just get shipped to you. And they're made by machines, and and a moron can assemble them from instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And I take it for granted, right? Like everything, this glass that I'm drinking out of, right? Venetian glass blowers were the pride of the world and destroyed their lungs in order to make the finest glassware around. And now just machines produce glasses that I can buy at Walmart for $2. And as you say, the bell does not get unrung. And it's crazy because I'm watching my own livelihood as a writer. I'm watching that bell ringing, for whom the bell tolls. It's like, well, it's kind of tolling for me. It's a little scary, but that bell is not getting unrung. So anyway, that's my view on the third rail.
Yeah, that's comprehensive.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm not dooming. I'm not black-pilled about it, because if you look at writing itself, it's pretty lindy. In fact, it's one of the most resilient enterprises humanity's ever come up with. And yes, the tools and the formats have undergone incredible change, like from cave paintings to clay tablets, stone tablets. I mean, when Gutenberg unveiled the printing press, everybody was running around like Chicken Little, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, within like our parents' lifetimes, people still hammered out papers and books on typewriters.
Yep.
And now we're all using, if it's not Scrivener or LibreOffice or MS Word, if you're using spell check or autocorrect, you're using AI, and you have been for years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm with you. It's going to become par for the course. Gen Alpha won't even think anything of it, but they'll still be writing. Writing isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And I will say this, right? Even if the AI is doing the first drafts, even if, like, let's say that that's the case, that this just becomes run of the mill, you still have to be an excellent writer to know what makes a good story, what makes a good draft, and what doesn't. So I don't see that element being endangered, at least not, if the AI is good enough, if the AI is that good, then we have larger problems. So Fox Off wants to know, what is your go-to thing that you feel helps you guys be more creative? I like to paint minis and audiobooks. So Brian, what's your go-to when your creative juices are low and you need to recharge?
That file under questions that tell me a little more about you than you wanted to know about me. And that's not throwing shade. I envy you. I envy anyone who has that luxury of being able to not be on all the time. I'm just on all the time. I'm on right now. I can't turn it off.
All
Help.
right.
Please help.
Yeah. Isn't there like a term for that? ADHD or something?
Let's go ride bikes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got, by the way, while we were chatting, you got some love for Reavers of the Void, so Bradford's book, which is cool. We also got some love for Combat Frame Exceed, your mech series.
Hey, I'm gonna send that right back. I'm gonna reflect it right back at the audience, like a lovely rose tinted mirror. Thank you for supporting my work and my author clients' work. I think you're gonna dig it.
Yeah, definitely. So Castellan's Keep comes in with the black pill here. He says AI is going to accelerate some very dysgenic tendencies in the population. Yes. All right.
Yes.
Moving on.
Well, did you see the reports that came out about U.S. adult literacy? And don't quote me on this, but if I remember correctly, millennials have trouble connecting ideas from page to page in a document. Zoomers have trouble connecting ideas between paragraphs. Alphas have trouble connecting ideas between sentences. They basically only think in bullet points on average.
Wow. No, I did not see that. Will you send that to me?
I will ask my guy and see if he can scare up that report.
Yeah, but no, that makes total sense. I I really struggle with this, honestly. So I've had from time to time, I've had people send me like, "Hey, man, I think your books would really benefit if they were written for today's audiences," and then they've sort of sent me samples of what they think that should look like.
Oh,
And I don't like I mean this genuinely. I'm not being snarky or sarcastic. Like I thought they were pulling my leg and sending me a children's book.
uh-huh.
Because it's got like these huge white margins and everything is bullet points and really simple sentence construction. Like I actually thought it was a joke, like they were, making fun of me. But in fact they were genuinely serious that this is the reading grade. And that's a depressing moment to have that realization. So this study you're saying totally clicks with that. And WSLVA says writing might not be going anywhere, but there still be readers. AI read audiobooks. I have been shocked at how much audiobooks dominate now. Genuinely, apparently, they're more popular than books are with men at this point. It feels as though we're moving into a post-literate culture. Yeah. I don't know, Brian, do you do audiobooks?
I've done one, and to offer a bit of a counterpoint, so what my research had showed was that, okay, at least during the virus lockdowns, the audio market nearly collapsed. Because do you know when 90% of audiobook listening happened?
Driving.
Yes, during the commute.
Yeah.
And no one was commuting to work anymore.
Yep.
So, like, actual book reading had an upsurge. I don't know about since then. It might have bounced back, like you said, but yeah, kind of like Bradford was saying about author services. Audio is really tough because I at least have not found a way to make it worth the expense. Like, my first audiobook has yet to earn out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, it could just be me. That's anecdotal.
Yeah. So let's see, we got some more interesting points here. So Bradford says, I think editing acumen will go up over time because writers will do more editing of bot generated drafts. I could see that.
Yeah.
Castellan says AI ought to be able to find typos at 100% rate if you're using it as a proofreader. Yes, with the caveat that sometimes if it's weird words that it doesn't know because you've made your own words up and stuff.
And that's just proofreading, which is not editing.
Right. So this is very blackpilling. 39 out of 40 college freshmen majoring in English literature couldn't read the first chapter of a Dickens novel. Like if you had just said 39 of 40 college freshmen couldn't read the first chapter of a Dickens novel, that would be depressing. But 39 out of 40 freshmen majoring in English lit, that is astonishingly blackpilling.
If the next question, of course, is why, but perhaps that's too large a white whale to go tackling tonight.
So for those who've never heard it, I actually gave a TEDx talk on that. So you guys can Google, if you Google my name, Alexander McCree's TEDx talk, I have a whole TEDx talk on why everyone's reading grade is going down. It's pretty depressing. I did it back in 2013, and I predicted that after Twitter, we would switch to an even shorter form video content type platform. And God forbid I was correct. So let's see.
Modern day Cassandra, man.
The inbound right. The inbound marketing gurus recommend blog posts to be for 6th grade reading levels. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that actually is what that report said, because the main way it was measuring reading level was like the duration of how long can you follow the through line of a thought through a text.
Right. Right. So Omanal says audiobooks are just modern day versions of storytellers back in history. Yeah, no, that's fair, right? Like, I mean, Plato and Socrates actually thought reading was going to make us stupid because we wouldn't do oral learning anymore. So, maybe it's all just back to it. Yeah, yeah. So, Ivory Knight. I can't really focus on audiobooks. I'm trying to get through Hyperion. Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm the same. I find reading much easier actually than audiobooks. I'm much more of a reader than I am a listener. Are you the same, Brian? Are you a listener? Where do you come in?
Oh no, I'm a print-oriented learner. Like my my readers and patrons, uh, I love them. They are definitely more visual and audio learners, so they're always sending me like YouTube clips and videos like, "Oh, check this out." And the first thing I do is I have to go in, open up the transcript, turn off the timestamps, and copy it and like paste it into Word because my brain is just trained to say if it's not text, it's not important.
Yep.
I seriously
Yep.
cannot absorb it any other way.
I do that constantly. I take the transcript, turn off the timestamps, and what I'll do is I'll cut and paste it into ChatGPT or Gemini and ask it to summarize the transcript for me.
Oh, that's a
And
great idea.
yeah, that's
That's a time saver.
that's a big time saver for me. Yeah. So I grew up. Yeah, I did too, man. Hi, Guy Gaxian was my vocabulary just went like that, right? It was so funny. Let's see. 6th grade reading level was the basis for U.S. military manuals in the 1980s. That's okay though, because like the U.S. military was intended to be something that you could enter straight in out of high school, and also in the military, the reading grade has to take into account the fact that you're probably only going to have had 2 or 3 hours of sleep, which is the equivalent of losing a standard deviation of IQ. And so even if you're a perfectly competent high school reader at the 10th or 11th grade level, you're not going to be when you're under fire at 2 a.m. with almost no sleep, and having it be simpler is better. So I'm not black pilled on that in the same way that I am black pilled, on college. So
Did you hear about the British, I think, SAS interrogation manual that Roald Dahl wrote?
No, I didn't. I need to hear about this.
Oh, look into that. Like it just got declassified or became publicly available like 10 years ago. Ed Greenwood actually talked about it at Gen Con.
Wow, I had no idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wonder what percentage of like those old kind of influencer types had some affiliation to those things. Like Christopher Lee apparently was a special forces guy in World War II, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. So
I'm sure you've heard the special feature from the Lord of the Rings DVD that when Jackson is shooting the scene where Wormtongue stabs Saruman, Lee stopped the scene and corrected, was like, no. When you stab someone in the back, it doesn't sound like that. It goes like, huh! He's like, here. And everyone was horrified.
yes, because he had done it. Yes, I did hear about that. It's awesome. Yeah. So I need to pull this up here. This is hilarious. So William Silva, there's an ancient text where a person was complaining about the youth and how they waste time. Yes. So this is Naram Sin. So I actually wrote a whole essay about the wisdom of Naram Sin once. So if you spend enough time as a pessimistic doomsayer, you eventually encounter a particular breed of optimistic hope speaker who simply refuses to acknowledge the decayed state of our society. And they will, confronted by this quote by Naram Sin of the Akkadian Empire, "We have fallen upon evil times. The world has waxed old and wicked. Politics are very corrupt. Children are no longer respectful to their elders. Each man wants to make himself conspicuous and write a book." And everyone will then follow by saying that's how stupid a doomsayer like me is, because people have been warning about the end of the world for 5,000 years. So what they don't tell you is that Naram Sin was literally writing that 64 years before the end of the Akkadian Empire. So he was the last great king of Akkad, and he was entirely correct. His civilization was doomed, and the Akkadians were wiped out. So So it is not the own that some people think it is. Yeah.
Yep, got to zoom out that timeline.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Then of course we have the bad review of Some Guy's Copper. Like, okay, so Brian, tell me about this right now. Imagine in 10,000 years, they find engraved on a stone tablet, someone has given your book a 1-star review and it has been preserved for all time, right? Like, I can't think of a higher accomplishment.
Yeah. So carved on stone is delivery guy left book in rain, package got wet.
You're right.
Because that's every 1-star review. It's like either that or politically motivated. So either,
Yeah,
okay, they're going to know, wow, this dude sounds like a crank. I wonder what the book was actually like. Or they're going to be like, oh, well, if we shall know him by his enemies, he must have been righteous indeed. So,
yes.
good deal to me.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. I've actually gotten to the point where I dread a 2-star review much worse than a 1-star review or a 3-star review. Because, like, if you give a 1-star review, it's just clear it's just politically motivated, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you can you can say what you want about ACKS. It's not a 1-star product. Say what you want about Nethereal. It's not a 1-star product. But by far the worst is like the 2 or 3-star review. You're like, oh, because then it means they actually genuinely didn't like it, right? It just feels
Right.
much more visceral. So.
And that is also why, as a corollary, the 4-star review is the gold standard. I love honest 4-star reviews because people trust them, but they're positive.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh, interesting enough, Omanal just said the same thing. I trust 2 and 4-star reviews because they will write a novel. That's right. That's right.
Bingo.
Someone who
Discerning
gives a
customer there.
2-star and a 4-star. Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and it's kind of sad that like it's kind of sad how the expectations have been set that if it's not at least 4.6 or whatever, right, because of the reflexiveness of 5-star review. But I mean, it is what it is. I almost had a friendship end once because we at the Escapist, I was running the Escapist, and my buddy Mike released a video game, and we thought the video game was really, really good. So we gave it a 4-star review because the Escapist, we rarely ever gave 5-star reviews. Like, our standard was a 5-star had to be, it was like an industry changing, like near perfect game, and like 4-star was a really good review. But it got turned into Metacritic as an 80, and an 80 on Metacritic was like a failing grade, and people lose their royalties over 80s.
Ooh.
And yeah. Do you know how that worked? Do you know what Metacritic was?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Escapist and Metacritic. I didn't know about that little wrinkle, though.
Yeah, so what happened was the publishers started linking developer royalties and bonuses to Metacritic scores. And for whatever reason, they settled on like 85 and above was typically the level where you would get bonuses and higher royalties on the reviews. And so all of the game websites that used 5-star systems and would give 4-star reviews became hated by the developers, because anytime they gave a 4-star review, they were just it was like stabbing a knife in the back of the game developer. And so a lot of them had to switch to being able to give 4.5 stars, or switching over to a 100-point system or a 10-point system. And and of course it contributed to quote unquote grade inflation in the video game industry, because nobody wants to be the guy who, like, it's one thing to like give a bad review of a game that's like, this game was an 83 for me, not an 86. But like, do you really want to do that when that means people who worked for 5 years and were killing themselves, all of a sudden now they don't get their bonus? Like, that's rough.
Super rough.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the best or worst review you ever got on a book? I'm kind of curious.
Well, we already
really
went over
out for you?
Yeah, to reiterate, the best review I ever got was for Nethereal, and it was Space Pirates OD on the Spice from Dune and Wake Up on Cthulhu's Couch.
That was it. That was a review. A 5-star.
Yeah. There was more, but that was that was just a closing argument. That was the epitome. I love it. The worst review was for Comet Frame Xseed, and it was from a reader who I believe he gave it 2 stars. It was from a reader who was like, "Oh well," he was complaining about the Janglish I use, like the pseudo Japanese, because it's inspired by anime mecha
Yep.
series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, the character names don't make sense in Japanese, and I live in Japan and I've lived there for 2 years, and just really started going on about himself. I'm like, okay, well, yes, I know. I studied Japanese for years at the collegiate level. The character names are jokes. They are puns, much as great mangaka like Akira Toriyama are wont to do, right? But I just have to laugh it off now.
I did not know that the names were all puns. I don't know anything about Japanese, so.
Well, see, stained glass windows don't have subtitles, so it's fine that you didn't know. Right? They're symbols.
Right. Yeah.
So in a way,
Interesting.
you
basically got mid-witted, right?
No, you got the purest reader experience. So I don't want to destroy your innocence on that one.
So Zero Sum shows his support. He says Tomino named a guy Quattro Bagina. So
Yes, he did.
Case closed. DJ wants to know if you recall the review of Nethereal as an opera, and that was an amazing review to read.
Yes, that one is also near and dear to my heart. I know which one he's talking about. And he's right, it is space opera. But this review actually staged it as an opera, like even pointing out, oh, here's where the oboes come in for this character. It kind of did a Peter and the Wolf thing. So yeah. Yeah, that's still up there. Go check it out.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Coolness. Let's see. Did I miss any other questions? No, I think we're pretty caught up on the questions here. So so what's next for you then? So you got any new series in the works, follow-ons, new IPs you're working on?
Thanks for asking. Yes. Right now, my current project is the Arkwright cycle. So by way of analogy, you and our viewers will think of the Soul Cycle as the original Star Wars trilogy. Arkwright cycle is Knights of the Old Republic. Okay, so it's prequel set in the distant past, and it begins revealing the deep, rich, hidden background lore that is really just alluded to or hinted at in Nethereal. So now with Arkwright cycle, you're finally going to get to see it out in the open, dragged out into the sunlight. We're already 2 books in. Our second book of the series, Lord of Fate, from last year, still holds a title as our most successful crowdfunder yet. So that did well. And yeah, so thanks. Our next plan is this holiday season, we plan to crowdfund Arkwright Cycle Book 3. And the goal is to get it fulfilled in time for the book to be under your tree or in your stocking or your loved one's stocking for Christmas.
Brilliant. So we have some concerns. So is there a Jar Jar Arkwright?
No.
Okay. All right. So we're safe. We're safe from that.
We are safe from that. Yeah, because notice I didn't say it's the Star Wars prequels. I said it's KOTOR.
Right. Misa happy?
No. So think more a pagan priest of the College of Augurs who was born under bad sign and will stop at nothing to change his black fate, no matter who he has to step over in the process. And another priestess who is basically the late antiquity version of Judge Dredd.
Mm-hmm.
Or as I put it, the Arkwright cycle is, okay, imagine Glenn Cook writing a novelization of the lost notes that Kentaro Miura left over after he died before finishing Berserk, as edited by Christopher Tolkien.
Ha! Nice. That sounds great. That sounds great. Now, would you say, with 10 years of experience under your belt as an author, so when you reread Nethereal, are there parts that make you wince and be like, ooh, I could have written this better today? Or do you feel like, nah, I nailed it pretty well? Or has your writing style changed? I know when I read my earlier ACKS work, I definitely think, ooh, I've gotten better. I would have done this differently now. I'm kind of curious how you feel about it.
Yeah, so it's reassuring to hear that you experience the same phenomenon. I think it's really inevitable because the longer you stay at anything, the more you're going to improve. It's not so much that my previous books make me wince, but I have grown far more efficient and effective at storytelling. Like
Yeah.
Nethereal, it's not a Sandersonian cube, but it's a pretty hefty novel. So Soul Dancer, but then like by the time we get to Ophion Rising, book 4 in the Soul Cycle, yeah, I can't do just sit down and get into that, and then I raise my head. I'm like, oh wow, goodness, it's 50 pages later, and it's past my bedtime. So yeah, there's been a marked refinement, I would say, and I think readers agree.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder. So I think, for writers, it's like definitely they get better, they get better, they get better, they get better. But then in every writer's career that I followed, Stephen King, George R. R. Martin, whatever, right? There is a point, and I think it's when old age catches up to them, and then that next book isn't better, right? It's
Mm.
actually a little bit worse. It's not as good. It takes them longer. And I think that's got to be a really devastating moment for a writer, right? When actually you write that next book and you think to yourself, I'm not as good as I used to be. And I kind of, if there's anything that makes me lose sleep at night, apart from existential destruction of all I love, it's that fear. Yeah.
Well, to feed you
Yeah.
a bit of a white pill here, I don't you think much of the problem with guys like Martin and King is they've gotten too big to edit, so the publishers don't do any QA anymore.
Um, I do think that's part of it. Absolutely, I think that's part of it. But I also do think that there is a certain aging of the brain that occurs. And I think even with
Mm.
editing, the George R. R. Martin of today is not the same writer as the George R. R. Martin who wrote Game of Thrones. I don't think he's as good.
All right, fair.
Yeah. 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 So
Make hay while the sun
GJ says,
shines.
I
In.
saw that happen.
Yeah.
I saw that happen with Frederick Forsyth. I'm pretty sure with Tom Clancy as well, but they were very topical, dated writers. Yeah, no, for sure, very much so. If you're like a topical writer who needs to stay really contemporary with particular topics, I think that's even more so. Um, and I mean, I think a lot of it has to do as well with speed, right? Like Stephen King. One of the part of the genius of Stephen King was his ability to produce really high quality very, very quickly. And so his books remained really good. It just takes him a lot longer to get them out the door. And for him, his quality decline came when he had that accident, right? When he got hit by the car, and he never really fully recovered from that.
Yeah, that was
Um,
weird.
as he's to me the classic example of that was rough. I think George R. R. Martin, he got a little too big for his britches, and then I think there's also it might even have been you who said it that he literally can't complete the story because of he wrote himself into the themes that he doesn't want to admit. I don't know if that was you who said that or.
Well, I agree with it. So I'm gonna take the credit then.
Very good, very good. Yeah. Hey, while we're on the topic of talking about writers like that, so you wrote a nonfiction piece. Don't give money to people who hate you. Was kind of curious about that. So, what motivated you to write that, and and how was that received, and um, and did it do well actually?
Yes. Well, piggybacking off our earlier discussion about how we both observed, it was the mid 2010s. It was a heady time, right? SJWs roamed the earth and giving rise to the early consumer revolts of that era. And so we went through that, right? We got through the first Trump term, and I saw people backsliding, like, oh, okay, well, we won in the political arena, so now it's okay to like buy this slop from these people who are on the record as wanting us to die in fires, right? And I decided to write it just as like not just a finger wagging, well, shame on you for supporting the enemy, but to be the guy with solutions. To say, hey, look, I know it's hard. It's a full court press. Yeah, the death cult has surrounded everyone with their product to consume. So how do you parse it? How do you keep your soul and sanity intact and navigate this minefield? So I dashed out a quick guide. Well, here's some actionable tips for how to do it, right? And it not only did well, it became my first book to get the #1 orange tag on Amazon, and it's been a perennial bestseller. Like people are always rediscovering it.
Really?
Really.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because having been canceled, I am grateful, however, that I still have many people with whom I politically probably disagree, but who support my work. And I think it's in my mind, I distinguish between people that disagree with me and people that hate me, right? Like
Right.
I am happy to buy a book like Eric Flint, right? Like Eric Flint, by all accounts, was a communist. And yet, after he died, pretty hardcore right wingers like Tom Krotman wrote really nice obituaries of Eric Flint for what a great gentleman he was and how you could sit down and have a drink and have a discussion with him. And you might walk away in sharp disagreement, but you knew he was a class act and a good man. And so I, in my mind, like I would buy a book by Eric Flint. I don't care that he's a communist and that I disagree with him on those things, because he's a man of virtue in his own way, and I don't think that there's any hate. Whereas there are actually people I think that probably agree with me politically, but who actively hate me, that I wouldn't buy their books. So my takeaway was, I think there's something special where it goes from this is something we disagree on, but that's okay and we can coexist, to know this is like an actual abiding hatred of my existence where they will actively seek to deplatform and destroy me. And it's an easy distinction to miss, I think. But I'm grateful for all the people that have supported me, even if they disagree with me, if that makes sense. And I think you're probably the same, right? Like, if you sat down and had drinks with Eric Flint, right? You'd be like, hey, he's a communist, but he's a good bro. I would. I don't know. I'm sure. Where's your head, Brian?
Yeah, eternal memory, Eric Flint, right? And yeah, if you look at don't give money to people who hate you, I am not just painting with a broad brush and tarring. Oh, well, this guy thinks that like the corporate tax rate should be 1% higher than I do. Destroy him. No. It's not ideological. I go and find the receipts. Like I comb through people's blog posts and Twitter feeds, finding their own public statements. They basically say, hey, like if you disagree with me, they said, then I don't want you in my civilization. I don't want you near me. I think you should be sentenced to soft economic exile and canceled out of existence. Yeah. By the way, consume my new product. So I bring the receipts on exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. And and part of that, I think as well, I think part of that problem that's arisen is because of the death of marketing of authors' books absent the author, right? Like when I was a kid and I was a fan of George Lucas, like it wouldn't have even occurred to me to care what George Lucas's politics were, right? Or any author I enjoyed. It just wouldn't have seemed relevant to me. Like, like I didn't discover that, or what is Orson Scott Card? He's like a Mormon, right? Like I didn't discover that for 15 years after I read Ender's Game. And then all of a sudden it was a big deal. I'm like, why is this a big deal? Like Ender's Game is a fantastic book. And I think it's because now we live in this world where your own personal brand is so central to the marketing of the book that it's too easy to let it take center stage. And so then one of the ways people compete against each other is by attacking each other's identities. It's very gauche. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Excellent word.
No, hang on. So
sure.
Let's see. Yeah. When did disagreement become so polarizing and unmanageable? I'd rather build bridges than blockades. Yeah, same. Same. When I ran the Escapist, we had such a diverse group of folks there in terms of like worldview, and everybody got along, and it was all about the games, and it was a real golden age. And I'm sad, I'm sort of sad that that era is over. So I know I sound like an old man. Kids these days don't know what it was like, but it was actually genuinely pretty nice. Yeah, it was genuinely pretty nice. So yeah, I mean, so DJ is sort of tracing the origin of it, and yeah, yeah. Yeah, it seems like it started in the 2000s, but yeah, but there was hints in the 90s. I mean, it goes back a long way. It goes back a long way for sure.
That is why
we're reaping.
Yeah, we're reaping what we sowed, and yeah, that's why I tend to cut some slack to the guys who are immersing themselves in 90s nostalgia right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, I look back and I think to myself, holy crap, I lived through a golden age. The 90s was amazing. Like, yeah. And and like the Zoomers who laugh at us and they're like, oh my God, the 90s were so good that their idea of a drama was like a guy has to have fistfights with himself because otherwise his life is too good, It was a different era. So
That's a great
I see my son play with all sorts of people. Gen Z hates political correctness. Yeah, I've noticed that too, and I think that's a big win. It's kind of like they built a tolerance to it, like iocane poisoning. Yeah. So, well, Brian, we got about 5 minutes left on the show, so let's circle back to where we began. Let's have you talk a little bit. Some folk joined late; they missed the intro. Maybe talk a little bit about the Nethereal project and the challenges you faced, and sort of the what people can do to support you as you head into the last few days of the crowdfunding.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to come to you and your viewers hat in hand and lay out my simple pitch. 10 years ago, a passion project turned into the novel that started it all. Went on to multiple Hugo nominations, Dragon nominations, a Dragon win, and turned on a lot more people to New Pub and dispel the notions that men don't read, among other things. So the point is, we couldn't have gotten there without help from you, all of you individually. Alex has been a big booster, especially recently. I could not have done it without my readers, just like any author. Now, we need you again, more than ever. We decided to crowdfund the Nethereal 10th Anniversary Special Edition, brand new deluxe collector's edition. Signed a number of copies available only through this campaign. For those of you who've already read Nethereal, brand new Soul Cycle novella, Kairos is okay, exclusive to this Kickstarter. Never going to see him again after this. 4 days left, okay? Our initial projections, based on our pricing and perk model, said that we were going to end up between 15 and 18K. Our first 2 weeks bore that out. Then all of a sudden, we heard from backers, we can't use MasterCards. Not throwing any blame here on anyone's door, but it's nothing the backers are doing wrong. It's nothing we did wrong. It's just one of those things, right? It's Murphy's Law coming back with interest. So we need your help. We are this close, thanks to you fine folks at ACKS II Grind, to breaking even and covering all our costs. If we can do that at 8K, I'll be happy camper. We'll take what we learned from this campaign. We'll get them next time. We'll refine our approach, but this is it. This is the clutch. Can't do it without you. So support authors who just want to entertain you and have been for 10 years so that we can keep doing it well into the future.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so for those of you who missed it earlier, you know, we chatted a little bit about you know, why this would go down with MasterCard, and you know, I'm certainly I think I'm more suspicious than Brian is about you know, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, three times is enemy action. But in any event, he's a great author and deserves support. So you know, if you guys are looking for something to read or listen to, definitely check it out for sure. And yeah, as always, grateful to have everybody's support for Axe to Grind, ACKS, and just in general, this kind of like cultural movement that we're building. Not sure what exactly the movement is, but we're definitely building something. You know, you can feel it. I feel it, you know, like it's just a different vibe than there was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Like there's more people in the space and making more great content than there was back then. And there's so much good stuff coming out now. It's kind of exciting. You know.
It is. Like for every black pill, for every dark cloud, there is a ray of sunshine. They're little green sprouts growing up in the burned down forest, right?
That's right. That's right. There definitely are. So, okay, everyone. Well, Brian, thank you for coming back as a return guest. It's a pleasure to have you. I hope that the rest of your crowdfunding campaign sails forward on smooth waters. And everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Axe to Grind. I will be on next week. We will be having the co-designer of Sword of Cepheus and FTL Nomad to talk about life as an indie RPG designer outside of the D20 space. That should be really exciting. And then in August, Pat Kilbane, who did the documentary The Dreams in Gary's Basement, is going to come on the show as well. So we got some great stars coming as well. So Brian, good luck. And thanks again for coming on the show. Good night, everybody.